As a law enforcement officer or community liaison, you understand that mutually beneficial partnerships between Neighborhood Watch and other civic, social, and service organizations is an essential component of a successful Neighborhood Watch initiative. Neighborhood Watch volunteers need to know not only how to work with other volunteers, but how to develop and sustain partnerships that will leverage needed resources. In this course, you will understand the importance of forming partnerships between Neighborhood Watch and other stakeholders, learn how to develop memorandums of understanding that are beneficial to all, and learn how to build capacity to leverage resources as we work with other groups. A community partnership is an association of collaborative private and public sector groups or organizations, all working together, sharing a common vision, interest, values, goals, and benefits or risks. Officers should be aware that there's a wide variety of both public and private organizations that are available to support and enhance Neighborhood Watch groups. Before we begin our discussion on the mechanics of forming successful partnerships, let's take a look at the benefits that can be derived from these new relationships. Mutually beneficial partnerships create win-win scenarios where all participants feel that they're valued, that they have something to contribute, and that they gain from the relationship. Partnerships also help us to leverage our resources. In an era when many groups are experiencing diminished resources, partnerships allow us to leverage the time, knowledge, experience, and wealth of other organizations and experts. Spreading the risk among agencies or organizations can also benefit a partnership. No one group has to go it alone, but instead can be part of a team effort to reduce crime or revitalize a neighborhood. Finally, the most important component of forming partnerships is to build relationships with stakeholders in your community. Through these relationships, once daunting tasks may seem more attainable and realistic. Please fill in the blanks under Community Partnerships on page 4 of your participant book. Part 1. Characteristics of effective groups. We now want to examine some keys to successful partnerships. Although not exhaustive, some important elements of successful partnerships include communication, coordination, cooperation, collaboration, and consensus, or the 5 C's. Communication is the foundation for trust and respect when developing a partnership. Coordination is how we manage our working relationships and share information. Cooperation is an essential element that brings everyone to the table and makes them feel important. In collaboration, we actively seek out our community partners and look to interact with them on multiple levels. Finally, reaching consensus with our partners keeps everyone happy and moving forward in a unified direction. On page 4 of your participant book, please list the 5 characteristics of a successful partnership and complete the following activity. Activity. If you're currently participating in any interjurisdictional groups or partnership efforts, do they display these traits? If not, what can you do as a leader to help the organizations work together more efficiently and more effectively? Communication is the cornerstone to all successful partnership activities. Effective communication is essential for your Neighborhood Watch group. As a law enforcer or leader in your community's Neighborhood Watch efforts, you must be able to effectively communicate with your fellow community members, neighbors, and organizations or agencies that work with Neighborhood Watch. You will also need to understand how to resolve disputes and conflicts among members and neighbors. Communication plays a strong role in informing members of your Neighborhood Watch group, in gaining support and understanding, and in motivating them. Clear and concise communication between partners can avoid misunderstandings and potential conflict. One aspect of communication is interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communications can be defined as a selective, systemic, unique, and ongoing process of transaction between people who reflect and build personal knowledge of one another and create shared meaning. Interpersonal communications is more than mere communications between two individuals. It's an ongoing process that's an important skill that each of us should continually refine to improve all aspects of our lives, including our effectiveness as a neighborhood watch leader. When you ask another person to join your neighborhood watch group, you may decide to call them on the telephone or visit their home. You may decide to send a note in the mail or maybe an email over the internet. To what extent does the form of communication affect the contents of your message? Always strive for clear, simple, and pleasant communication when communicating with members of your neighborhood watch. Remember, each of you are interested in the same objective, a safer and more pleasant neighborhood, community, and country. Strive to avoid confusion by being clear, simple, and concise. Select appropriate topics for discussion and use an individual's name whenever possible to personalize your message. Be sure to ask for feedback so you'll know if others interpreted your words as you intended. Now turn to page 5 in your participant book and complete the following activity. Activity number 2. List the success and logistics of both direct and indirect forms of communication. What are some of the benefits of each? What are some of the barriers of each? Remember that in verbal communication, our language reflects our culture. Language can be ambiguous, and meanings are subjective to the listener. Loudness, pitch, and silence can all affect verbal communication. In nonverbal communication, consider such aspects as eye contact, expressions, gestures, and even touch. Don't assume that your interpretation of someone's nonverbal communications is the meaning that they meant to convey to you. Consider everyday communications that you may have with your coworkers, family, or friends. When they talk to you, you hear much more than the words. The information or message you receive and decipher also includes the speaker's tone and nonverbal gestures. Have you ever heard someone say, "It wasn't so much what he said, but how he said it"? Or, "She didn't say that, but I knew what she meant"? Be aware of these subjective interpretations when you talk to someone else and when someone tells you something. Communication uses most of your senses, not just your hearing. Be aware that words and gestures may mean different things to different people, particularly if they have a different ethnic heritage. For example, some ethnic groups may consider it rude to make eye contact, while others may consider it rude not to make eye contact. As a side note, conflict is usually the result of misunderstandings and unclear communication. Be aware of the power of words, tone, and nonverbal body language when you speak to someone or when someone talks to you. Turn to page 5 in your participant book and complete the section under Communication. Communication problems occur because of 4 primary reasons: perception, listening, emotions, and noise. Perception: be open to new ideas, different opinions, and communications. Listening: mindful listening includes careful listening to what a person has to say without letting one's mind wander or plan for the response. Listen for what isn't said as much as what is said. Emotions color our perceptions and our communication. Be aware of this. Select your words carefully and consider a person's emotional impact on anything they say. Semantic noise. Differences in language, accents, dialects, and culture may prevent us from conveying the meaning we and others intend to share. And channel noise. Problems with technical communications equipment, such as telephones, email, microphones, or hearing aids, may negatively impact our communications. Take a few minutes to review this list and think of examples of each that you may have experienced. By being aware of these potential problems, it'll help us to ensure that we don't damage our own communications. As a law enforcement officer or neighborhood watch liaison, you've witnessed numerous conflicts in your career. In collaborative partnerships, occasionally differences of opinion may occur. Thank goodness we're all different, or the world would be a boring place. Differences of opinion are not bad. What is potentially harmful is not correctly resolving them. Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion, and others should respect that. Groups must be aware that differences will occur, and successful partnerships will be able to resolve minor conflicts. Now, here are several tips for handling a conflict should one arise with your group. Strive for a win-win solution. There are usually ways to resolve any conflict so that everyone benefits and no one's hurt. Be graceful and forgiving when appropriate. And always show respect. You should respect yourself, the person you have the conflict with, the relationship, and the common goal that you share. Coordination is the operational aspect of how groups interact. Coordination relies on clear and effective communication, solid organizational skills, and mutual respect for everyone involved. Coordination is one of the most overlooked elements of the partnership process, and yet the ways that stakeholders relate to each other and share information is extremely important. Coordination is one of the key elements of a successful neighborhood watch partnership. Coordination consists of work habits, learning styles, lifestyles, relationships, and information sharing. Group members should learn each other's work habits and interaction styles so that the members can more effectively achieve their goals. Just as in team sports, groups that are not coordinated and who do not work together well as a team will not be successful. Addressing today's neighborhood watch issues demands a coordinated effort from all stakeholders. Please fill in the blanks under coordination on page 7 of your participant book. If coordination is the how of working together, then cooperation is the why. Cooperation is a willingness to agree and a willingness to help despite disagreements. Cooperation puts aside personal preferences so people work together to achieve a common goal. Listed on the above slide are some issues surrounding the topic of cooperation. Open partnerships do not necessarily mean that all information is shared by all parties. This is especially true when dealing with sensitive neighborhood watch issues or issues involving juveniles. Partners must understand this fact and respect that privacy issues may be involved. Partnerships should be creative and seek innovative solutions to mutual concerns. Often stakeholders or partners will fall back on what they've always done or what they know has been the best in the past instead of trying to build new solutions utilizing their combined knowledge, resources, and talents. When partners gather to solve common concerns, the emphasis should be on cooperation and not competition. The goal should be to help the community and not who or which group will receive the attention or glory. Everyone should celebrate and promote the successes of the group effort. Collaboration occurs when everyone contributes towards the common goal, sharing their ideas, resources, talents, and skills for everyone's benefit. A collaborative effort usually produces far greater results than any individual effort. A word often associated with collaboration is synergy. Synergy is when the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, a true collaborative effort. Law enforcers should be aware that some of the key elements of collaboration include groups working together should have common goals and a formal process to reach those goals. Stakeholders or partners should be held accountable for their work and be responsible not only to their organizations, but to others in the partnership. Partnerships that are action-oriented and empowered to make changes or set policy should have the authority to do so, and the knowledge and skills to make decisions that will affect the group or others. Please fill in the blanks under Collaboration on page 7 of your participant book. The final element or characteristic of a successful partnership is consensus. Consensus is the collective opinion or general agreement that will allow the process to move forward. Consensus does not mean total agreement or acceptance. Consensus is when there's a general agreement or a solidarity of opinion or a harmony among the group members, because the members, stakeholders, partners, or subcommittees wish to move forward with the process. Consensus should not be about winning or losing, but should be about progress. Consensus is not the only model of decision making, but it can be an effective one when diverse groups are brought together to discuss important topics. Please fill in the blanks under Consensus on page 7 of your participant book. Activity. Read the above listed scenario and write down what you would do as a Neighborhood Watch group leader using all of your information, skills, and resources. Please fill in the blanks under Activity 3 on page 8 of the participant book. Part 2. Memorandums of Understanding, or MOUs. A Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, is a written document providing a general description of the responsibilities that are to be assumed by two or more parties in their pursuit of agreed-upon goals. The primary purpose of an MOU is to clarify roles, responsibilities, and other agreements so that each party is fully informed and understands what they are to perform. An MOU helps prevent confusion, duplication of effort, and other misunderstandings. Please fill in the blanks under Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, on page 9 of your participant book. An MOU begins by identifying the parties involved. For example, your Neighborhood Watch may need to enter into an official agreement with city or county departments, civic or social groups, or other service-oriented agencies in order to fulfill a need, meet a specific goal, or work together on a grant that receives outside funding. When drafting the document, be aware of formatting issues. Remember, if you use abbreviations for the parties, be consistent throughout the document. Once the title of the MOU has been referred to in full, it may be referred to as the agreement. Finally, each item should be numbered in some manner and each section should be titled. In the introduction, make sure that it clearly defines the purpose of the MOU. It is important to clearly identify each party in the agreement and describe in detail each individual responsibility, noting who is doing what, when, and where. Are any obligations conditional upon another event? If so, clearly define the triggering event and state what happens should the triggering event not occur at a specific time. One of the most important aspects of an MOU is to detail all financial arrangements and obligations. Each partner should be aware of its financial obligations before entering into the agreement. These include financial obligations that may be incurred when mutual aid is utilized as part of the agreement. A section of the MOU should address the administration of the agreement and any and all activities specifically listed within the agreement. In cases of mutual aid, it's extremely important to detail who is in charge and responsible for the final decision making before an event occurs. MOUs may include terms of indemnification, limits of liability, or list insurance coverage and who is responsible for obtaining it and paying for it. MOUs may include provisions in cases of events that cannot be anticipated or controlled, acts of nature like tornadoes, hurricanes, or flood, and acts of people, riots, wars, strikes. Such provisions detail liability limits and alternatives should unanticipated events occur. An MOU may include a time frame, such as a renewal date, or details about terminating the agreement. Either state that the MOU will continue indefinitely or include specific details about its start and end dates. Outline any consequences if early termination is applicable. An MOU concludes with an effective date and the authorized signatures. For example, this agreement is dated as of, include the month, day, and year, and will become effective upon signature by authorized representatives of the parties. The undersigned individuals represent and warrant that they are expressly and duly authorized by the respective institutions to execute this agreement. Remember, make sure you include details about who to contact regarding questions or correspondence about the MOU. Activity. List some circumstances and groups that your Neighborhood Watch partners with that you may want to draft an MOU to clarify roles, responsibilities, obligations, or liabilities. Please fill in the blanks under Activity 4 on page 9 of your participant book. If your Neighborhood Watch Group is interested in using MOUs in your partnership efforts, we've provided you with this checklist in order to facilitate the development of your MOUs. Remember that memorandums of understanding are legal documents, and this information is provided only as a guide. You should ask an attorney for legal advice should your Neighborhood Watch Group decide an MOU is appropriate. Please fill in the blanks under MOU Checklist on page 9 of your participant book. Part 3, Prospective Partners. In nearly every community, the potential exists to partner with numerous organizations to resolve problems or just improve the overall quality of life. 4 categories of potential partners that we've identified are businesses and their employees, government agencies at the local, state, and federal level, nonprofit agencies, and faith-based organizations. Activity. Take a minute to list some organizations in each category. Some of the more common public organizations are listed on the next page. Please fill in the blanks under Activity 5 on page 10 of your participant book. Some possible Neighborhood Watch partners include Citizen Corps councils that help drive local citizen participation by coordinating Citizen Corps programs, developing community action plans, assessing possible threats, and identifying local resources. VIPs is a program of Citizen Corps that offers online directory of existing law enforcement volunteer programs that potential volunteers can search to connect with a local program, and an online clearinghouse of sample documents and forms, including policies and procedures, liability waiver forms, training materials, volunteer applications, and more. Community Emergency Response Teams, or CERT initiatives, are funded by FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security. CERT is a training program that prepares people for possible disasters in their community. Faith-based organizations usually have deep roots in the community and the loyal support of their members. Some faith-based groups include churches and synagogues, church-sponsored organizations that provide social services. Businesses can provide tremendous private sector resources such as financial, personnel, and supplies to community-based efforts. Business organizations can also bring expertise and valuable experience to nonprofit groups. When looking for potential partners, consider a wide variety of private businesses and business support groups like your local Chamber of Commerce. In nearly every community, there's a wide range of law enforcement agencies that can partner with your Neighborhood Watch Group. Some local enforcement agencies may include Police Department, a sheriff's office, the Highway Patrol or State Police, security agencies, college criminal justice programs, and campus police departments. Civic, social, and service-based organizations can make magnificent partners for a neighborhood watch group. Many of these organizations have pledged time, talent, and resources to help groups such as Neighborhood Watch. Some civic, social, and service organizations include the Rotary Club, Lions Club, Kiwanis, American Red Cross, and United Way member organizations. Please fill in the blanks under Potential Partners on page 10 of your participant book. Successful partnerships can encourage positive changes in the relationships between the police, governmental agencies, and the citizens they serve. In this Neighborhood Watch course on forming successful partnerships, we've examined the need for partnerships as well as the specific elements of mutually beneficial relationships between the Neighborhood Watch groups and other civic, social, and service agencies. We've also learned about memorandums of understanding and the primary components that we may want to consider and include when we draft agreements with other organizations. Finally, we've looked at some potential partners that you or your neighborhood watch group may want to consider joining forces with on various community-based projects.